Imagine this scenario. You've got a stable job with a great salary, enticing benefits, and a clear path for career progression. Yet, something inside you yearns for more. Is it the allure of freedom, the thrill of building something from the ground up, or the desire to create a lasting legacy? Or perhaps it's the grass might be greener on the entrepreneurial side effect. But is the grass truly greener? Or is that just a mirage? In this episode, I want to explore the motivations, the challenges, and realities of embarking on the entrepreneurial journey. From the initial spark of an idea to the relentless hustle and sacrifices required to make it all work, we want to uncover what it takes to leave the security of a corporate job for the uncertain yet exhilarating world of entrepreneurship. What's up, everyone? This is Fit for Business with me, Jared Lane. If you could do us a favor, and if you're watching on YouTube, and tap that subscribe button. As always, if you are listening on Spotify, please show your support and tap that follow button. Welcome to episode 26. We have an episode that's sure to rock your world, pun intended. Today's guest is Brian DiPietro, the visionary founder principal behind Rocket Architects. With over 15 years of experience, Brian has been instrumental in transforming multifamily and student housing landscapes across the country. From designing sustainable, community-centric living spaces to achieving impressive project efficiencies, his work not only meets but exceeds industry standards. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I hope your day is going well. We're excited to have you here on this week's episode. If you can go do us a favor, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and the business.
Yeah, so Rocket Architects, my last name, DiPietro, is Italian for of rock, literally. So that's where the rock it came from. And also a mentor of mine at my old company, his nickname was Rocket. And he had actually passed away, I guess it'll be about 4 years ago, of pancreatic cancer. And when I was at my old job trying to figure out what to do, I was kind of like thinking I had one of those shower moments in the morning, and I'm like, well, you know, what would Rich be telling me to do if he was here? And he's like, get the F out of there. Yeah.
To hear that, and it sounds like you paid homage to, someone that was very close to you. You gave
Yeah.
your heart.
Yeah, he was a good friend, almost a father figure, you could say, and very well respected in the Pittsburgh architecture community. Very, very great designer and close friend. And it's very weird because within the company, everyone called him Bambi. That was his nickname. Nickname was Bambi. You could kind of tell he didn't like it. And I only found out later, once I really got close to him, that his friends all called him Rocket. So what's weird is now, I'm doing business with a lot of his good friends, and they're all saying, Rocket, 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 and it's like it's kind of like stepping into those shoes. It's almost like a persona or something. But
Where did that nickname like attribute from? His nickname.
he was a running back in high school, so speedy guy. Um, so and I look at it as kind of there's a third kind of not a double entendre, but I guess a triple entendre where we say, hey, we rock it. It's just kind of our mentality and our approach to everything. It's a great marketing thing. I go to these big marketing events that might have thousands of people there, and hey, it's the Rocket guy. Because I'll show up in a band T-shirt and a shirt like this, and just long hair and look like a rocker. And
Feeling like you're ready. You're back from Seattle in the '90s.
yeah. I get that a lot. And it's that or the David Spade.
I really was gonna go there, but you took the words out of my mouth as we're speaking, and I'm like listening to you. I was gonna kind of try to throw that in there that this dude really does look like David Spade, or you could have been his stunt double 1,000%.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a compliment, but I'll take it.
It's definitely a compliment, especially for me personally with my sense of humor, and that is definitely David Spade and that crew, a
But
thousand
that,
percent.
that's what we try to do. We try to keep it lighthearted. We try to be upfront and honest with our clients, and I think that goes a long way with any business as to how to be successful. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. So yeah, so let's have some questions. I really am excited to dive into with you that you can share your perspective and your point of view, along the way in your entrepreneurial journey here with the business, and obviously probably even going back. Yeah, let's jump into it if that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So, would you be able to like share a pivotal moment from your entrepreneurial journey when you face significant setbacks and how you overcame those?
So I don't know if we've really hit one, to be honest, yet, since I've been off on my own. I would say though that probably is what triggered me to leave was just kind of the position of where I saw things going in my old company.
Let's talk about that. So, yeah, where were you at your old company, and let's go from there.
Well, it was about 4 years ago or so. I'm trying to think, it was just before COVID, and things were not really going well with the business. And they were talking about one of the partners who became the CEO suggested, oh, we should merge. And I'm thinking, I can't do that. Yeah, I put in 17 years of my life at that point.
17
And
years
just
at that
become
firm, and now how big was that firm around that time, 2019? Do you recall?
I want to say it was about 40 employees.
40 employees, and
Um,
in the greater Pittsburgh market still. That's where it was based out
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Gotcha.
They were at, I think, 95, kind of at the pinnacle in the mid 2000s.
Okay, so this is yeah. So this the decline's kind of slowly happening before COVID hit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, but they were still a major player. On a national level, they'd done, I think it was like 110 student centers across the country. That was where we got into, and I got into the student housing, was they started to play off the student work and do the student housing. I got I got involved in the student housing because it was kind of my wife and daughter call it like the little red hen. No one wanted to do the student housing because it was boring work, and I figured coming out of college, this is work I shouldn't be doing. And so I just kind of took it, put it on my back, and got really, really good at it. And
That one
that's
that one thing, like that niche.
Yeah, that no one else wanted to do. And now we're seeing, the last 5, 10 years, ever since the Great Recession in, '08, '09, a lot of the bigger firms got into it. And one of the hallmark type of projects now a lot of architects are looking to do and excited to do are apartment buildings. And it's right in my wheelhouse now.
Right, because you're trying to get like those LEED certifications, right? Reduce carbon
Yeah,
footprints and so forth, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and that we can kind of go down that rabbit hole too, and how that plays a role. So I know this kind of segues into my next question. I know you're talking about like how the your architect firm at the time was thinking about like getting acquired or merging and so forth. So I really want to talk more about what really like in your gut inspired you to say, hey, I need to do this on my own and embark in the world of entrepreneurship and start this company.
Well, so the CEO at the time kind of laughed it off when the idea of a merger was presented. And 2 weeks later, they had a list of companies that he was looking to merge with.
So initially he kind of like, no, no, we won't do that.
Yeah, he kind of brushed it off as why would you think we would do something that stupid? And 2 weeks later, we're at our partners meeting, and there's a list of firms that he'd already reached out to, and he had spreadsheets and everything going. And he they were ready to pull the trigger, and I basically said I'm not doing it. And the firm was looking for the multifamily portfolio, was why they were looking at us. I said I'm not going along with it because I said, you look at any other merger that's happened in Pittsburgh, some of the bigger firms, international firms that have come in and bought smaller companies. I think I looked at the statistics of it. I think there were 43 partners that were absorbed, in these mergers, and 41 of them within 5 years were out of a job. I was like, I'm not going to be part of that statistic. I'm not stupid.
So the writing was kind of on the wall, as they say.
Yeah, yeah, and so I put in my letter of resignation in August. I guess that was 19, either 19 or 20. And I put in my letter of resignation, and they said, I had I don't know, 3 hour phone call with the guy, and you can't do that, and you're gonna screw the whole company over. I said, yeah, it's my life. I'm sorry. You shouldn't put that on my back. And he told me, and I said, look, I love what I do.
It wasn't like, oh hey Brian, congratulations. I think you're gonna like. And at that time, were you was this business a thing, or you were just like trying to figure out your next move?
Oh no, no, I wasn't even envisioning a business. It was,
Oh, it wasn't even there at this point.
I might just go get a job at a different firm. It was that simple. Or, or I might go work for a contractor or something. Because I ran a carpentry business in high school. So I was like, yeah, building decks and stuff for people. So I thought, maybe I'll go work as a contractor. And he told me, you can't do what you enjoy for a living, which I thought was just like,
The
I
CEO, the
couldn't.
CEO.
Yeah, the CEO said, you can't do what you enjoy for a living. I said, I love my job. I love being an architect. So
Instead of showing support and saying, "Hey, Brian, you need to do what's best for you and your family," they were trying to kind of like, I guess, yeah, persuade you to stay. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
well, yeah, and I can understand where they're coming from was, they needed me as part of the deal, and that was part of the bargain. And said no, and then he retired later on that year. And then the new CEO took over, and I asked him, I said, hey, look, where we're at, what's going on, what do you guys see happening? And he said, it's not a question of if, but when. It's 2 to 3 years.
So then, what's the timeline from when your business got created?
Well, to finish that though, real quick, they actually got bought out about 6 months ago.
Just this past 6 months ago.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So the company is no more. It was purchased.
Now, were
By
there
another
were there
firm.
absorptions and like dismissals of higher C level jobs?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it was all absorbed, but where I came in was that was in December or so. It was we had that conversation about what were the long term plans, and I was just trying to figure out what I was gonna do and what I wanted to do, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just kind of talked with my wife, and I decided to get out of there, and ironically, I guess you could say, I had a 30-day notice because I was a partner. I gave him my 30-day notice on April 1st. Um, so May 1st, I was out looking for a job and talked to some other very prominent Pittsburgh people in the industry. One of the founders of one of the major contractors at Rycon and a few other people that were very close friends of Rich Rocket. And a lot of them actually said, like, why would you go work for another company? Like you've got a bigger personal resume than just about any architecture firm in Pittsburgh for multifamily. So just go start your own company. Are you stupid?
And those were the motivational words that you needed.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. It was. And like I said, I had that kind of a shower moment in the morning when I wasn't sure what I should do and whether or not I should leave. It was what would Rich be telling me to do as a friend? Because he was one of those architects there that would always give you an honest answer. And he said, just get the f out of there, man.
He would have been behind you, supporting you, saying, "Yeah, do it."
Oh yeah, his widow and I are we talk a lot, and she's always she said he'd be so proud that you got out of there that just you had the common sense to just go.
That's great.
Yeah.
So now, what was that conversation look with at your wife at that point?
Well, there were a lot of things. It was a scary decision because you're going from a partner at an architecture firm, and not only did they have that national recognition, locally, they were the architect of record for Heinz Field, so, the Steelers stadium. So it's not like they were a small company.
That's not small potatoes, as we say.
Yeah, and I was a business partner, so I was top five in the company. So it was a risk, but at the same time, I mean, within a few weeks of leaving the old company, I already had former people I had worked with reaching out to me saying, "Hey, we got projects we want to do. Could you do it?" And I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to go work at another company. And the one guy said, "Take the job. If you decide to start your own company or something, this would be your job. And if you decide to go to another architecture firm and work for someone else, you bring this in as a bargaining chip." It maybe helps you climb the corporate ladder that much faster, where you can come in and say, "Hey, I've got a $50 million project for you." So it was a lot of it was just personal relationships that I had built, and I think how you do business with people. And if they know that you know your stuff and you're loyal and you're a good person, I think that kind of follows you.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that that really holds heavy. It's all about like building rapport, building relationships, and how you treat people. If you treat people just like they want to be treated at the end of the day, like here I am speaking with Brian, I can relate to his Beavis and Butthead T-shirt. Because that is the era I grew up in as well. Um, I think it goes a long way, and it kind of shows based off of like where you guys are today, from what I'm hearing. Already, 4 years into the business, and now. Were you guys a dual home income, or is your wife
No,
stay at home?
my wife was stay at home. Yeah, yeah. So it was scary. Luckily I was pretty good. She's a finance degree, and I feel like I've got a pretty good business acumen, which is why I think I got out of there. I saw the finances and how they were going. I knew what was needed to run a successful business, and I didn't see it. So I think we had enough savings, which was actually one of the sticking points. Was anyone knows stock market, you buy low and you sell high, right? And so where the company was at, I actually asked in December. I had asked them, we were chasing a project, and it was said, if we don't get this job, we're probably going under, is what the vice president said. And I said, I can almost guarantee that I'll get you this job, that I'll win us this job. I'll throw everything I got at it, but you know, I, if I'm pulling in these types of projects and you're depending on me that much, I want to buy more stock in the company. And three of the four partners said that's not fair. I said, why not? We don't have the money to do that. And I'm just thinking, here my wife and I, we paid off all her school loans. We drive beater cars, secondhand and third cars with our titles. We don't go on vacation, so we could save up money for me to buy into the company. And here's our opportunity. And the other partners are driving around in Mercedes Benz and going out for dinner 3 4 times a week and running up bar tabs and sending kids to private schools and all that. And it's like, well, it's not my fault that you put your priority for your money in one spot and mine's a little bit different. That's not fair. So we had some savings to live off of for a while. And ironically, one of those things ended up being that they had a life insurance policy on Rich Rocket as for the company. It was $1 million policy, and it was split between the partners. Now, my partnership, my percentage, it was maybe $20,000 or something like that. But we put that aside, and ironically, that money that we had put aside that we got from Rich was kind of what helped us bridge the gap to start the company in the first place. So it's a very, full circle, karma, all of that.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in karma, and fate at the same time. But it's interesting to hear that people at that level, you know, not getting into names and so forth, but like the previous company you work for, what I've seen, just that no matter what your company size is as a business leader, how you treat people, no matter what their positions are, roles are, and their salaries are, you need to, how would I want to be, held accountable, and how you need to be able to live the life you need to at the end of the day, and I think your employees should be able to at the same token. Then taking it to the next step, it's like, all right, you're going to have employees that are different types of workhorses, right? People that perform at certain levels, and clearly, certain employees that are working at these certain levels as all stars, if you would, and that are performing and overperforming and bringing in significant amounts of revenue need to be compensated for their work. And that's kind of like what it comes down to. But it doesn't sound like that's. But classic. Hey, that's where they are now, and here you are. So
Right.
that's where that comes from me. So, leading to this question, Brian, when the topic of success comes into mind, who do you personally think of and why?
Oh, I think it's the people that you don't really hear about or talk about. It's the people that can just they have the freedom to live their own lives. You don't not necessarily money, but it's that you make enough that you don't have to worry about money. We're I'm in such a happy place now where, yeah, we worry about it, but it's not driving all our decisions. It's not you're not spending all your life in your time, your waking hours worried about when's the next job coming in or something like that.
Well, I
Um,
mean, that's obviously hyper important at the same time to not
yeah.
be kind of like, hey, having that kind of like cloud overhang you.
Yeah, it's the intangibles, my wife and I were trying to have another kid, and we were having some difficulty. And it was stress. A lot of it was stress related, and here we were. What about now? I got a 2-year-old son that's up there. I'm not sure. Hopefully, he's not coming in the background noise, but he's so it's that's success. My daughter's she'll be 10 in a couple weeks here, and so to have the kids and have them around and be around for them, where we're work from home, 100% work from home, and that's success to me. Not because of the culture or personal views or beliefs, but my I've got one employee right now. We've got a guy moonlighting that so we're almost at a third hire or third person, but my one employee I've got is the guy. When I came out of college, if there was one guy that I would say took me out of my under his wing at my old company, it was this guy. So to come full circle and 20 years later go and offer him a job, and he was kind of like, really? Like, I'm like, well, like, yeah, like I know I'm younger than you and all this. And I was like, it's work from home. He got like a 20% increase in salary because, yeah, I said, you're worth it. He said, well, this isn't what, no one's going to offer me this. I'm like, that's what you're worth. I said, it's karma. It's the right thing to do.
So that was like
That's
that
why
was an awkward conversation for him, you think, at that point because of
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just that, I mean, he's as happy as can be because, he said now, he gets up, we start working at 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning. He said he's never collaborated as much as he has with me. His wife was, I guess, giving him a hard time right after a couple months after we got started because uh, he was sketching in a notebook on a Saturday morning. She's like, "What are you doing? You don't need to be working. I thought you said you wouldn't need to work all overtime with Brian." And he's like, "Oh, I'm not working. I'm just sketching." He's like, and he told me like, he said he hasn't done this much design in decades. He said it's like it's a whole different like it's what he went to college for was to do this. And most architecture firms, you've got a couple of the designers that are up there, and everyone else is just doing the grunt work and the busy work. And I believe it should be everybody should have a hand in it. And that's everyone that wants to. They're the odd guys that don't want to be designers.
so he's kind of like rekindled his like passion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. He's definitely excited, and yeah, I feel bad a lot of times because it'll be like, "Hey, look what we're doing," and I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, you're doing great." I'm like, "It isn't just me." I'm like,
Right.
I'm sitting here bouncing ideas off of you, and you came up with this idea. It's not
Yeah.
just me, and that's how it should be.
Yeah. The team helps
And
build it.
yeah, and then there's the little things. Hey, I got to go take my daughter daughter to the doctors at 2 o'clock. I'm like, just go. Like, why are you even asking me? It's like as long as you get your work done, I don't care when you're working.
That's what matters most. Just get it done,
Right.
and then no conversations.
Yeah, from a CEO level, my view of the employment, not work from home versus back to office type of argument, but just in general, I look at it as no different than going to a restaurant and ordering dinner or ordering food. I don't really care how you prepare it or when as long as it's there and it's done on time and it's good. I don't care if you microwave it or if you grill it. As long as it's in the construction field and architecture world, it's called means and methods. Whether you lay a brick when you build a brick wall, whether you use a crane or scaffolding or a hydro lift or you just do it by hand with ladders. I don't care. As long as it gets done, as long as it's as strong as it should be, as long as of a certain quality. And I think the same thing should go with employees and work. As long as you're doing your job, I don't care how it gets done. If you want to work on the weekends because you're a single parent, you got the kids during the week, and you want to spend time with them, go for it. I think that's important. That's life. That's success to me.
And I think it's just like, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like really how everybody individually views success. It doesn't really need to be like some form of materialistic items. And for some, that, I guess that is important. For others, maybe it's like being able to center their time around their family, and then like, family first, and, spending time with their loved ones, and then work. So yeah, I mean, I agree. And then, but again, I think to each their own. Everybody has their own ideas of what the levels of success mean and who they think is successful. So that's like one of the reasons why I like I'm excited to be able to ask these questions, up along the way during the podcast here, to see the answers I get from each individual's. It's gonna be exciting. Um, so another question I wanted to kind of throw at you, Brian, here, if I may. Can you, looking into the future, in your world, right? How do you like envision, the future of like fitness amenities evolving with, the apartment communities, and what potential like trends you see gaining like popularity?
So I'd say there's two different thoughts on that. One is like you had mentioned lead earlier, the LEED, which is US. It's a sustainability thing, and there's a couple offshoots of that. During COVID, I actually had a chance to talk with one of the founders of this rating system, which is called Well. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Well is building wellness. So it's an offshoot of USGB from USGBC, which is the group that does lead. And it focuses on wellness of the tenants and the building occupants and the health. It's not focused on sustainability. It's sustainability, but it's health oriented. And since then, there's been another one that was kind of I wouldn't call it a mock up. I would call it more of an inspired type of a type of an offshoot. Totally unrelated, different group of people, but it's called Fitwell. And Fitwell is focused on the fitness of the building occupants. So what we do, when we design a building, Rocket Architects, um, for what it's worth, all in my career, all of the apartment buildings that I've been involved with went for LEED Silver certification. That went for LEED Silver, ended up achieving LEED Gold, which is pretty yeah. So there's LEED certified, LEED Silver, Gold, and then Platinum. So all of my apartment buildings that went for certification got LEED Gold, and they were attempting Silver. So what we do with a lot of our clients, and as an architect, it's actually in the code of ethics that we have to push and promote sustainability. A lot of times you get a client that's just going to say no, and we don't want it.
How hard is it to get gold?
So they update the rating systems every few years. So the bar keeps going up and up and up. It's much harder now than it was 10 years ago. Yeah, so what we do is we promote sustainability that makes sense. And I've been on a podcast that we spoke specifically about this. So there's actual infrastructure, green building incentives out there for sourcing and designing sustainable buildings. Um, in similar things, we just do it as best practice. It's if there's no cost to it, you're silly not to do it. So like what we do is we take a little bit of everything from each of these rating systems. Um, Sustainability wise, some of the features that tied into well are like daylighting and natural views to the outside, increased air ventilation. Um, what starts to tie into the fitness, and I know I'm going off topic a little bit, but it's all tied together. It's all interconnected, and I don't think you can do one without the other because Me personally, there's two types of fitness. There's physical and there's mental. And if you don't have the mental fitness, it's, what you don't know that the physical fitness is really worth much. I know that there's a lot of, I've my wife's got a doctor, that's an aunt that's a doctor, and stress can really take a toll on the body physically, and you would be
I
surprised.
would attest to that. Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So part of what we try to do is we try to focus on that mental aspect. It's easier than the physical aspect. When you're designing an apartment building and an apartment room, what are you going to do for physical fitness, right? So luckily, we've got our client that we're working with right now on a project, and we've done a few projects with them. We started with definitely more fitness oriented than some of our previous projects at my old company, which is very encouraging. We're doing a yoga studio with an outdoor pool, and the yoga studio has sliding doors that open out onto a green space in front of the pool. There's your standard fitness center. We're working on a project with them right now that we're developing. We're looking at doing like a very integrated fitness kind of community, and we're looking at it as somewhat of a competitive advantage over the others. But we're looking at it as more of a lifestyle, and I think the client's beginning to embrace that, which is very encouraging. It's a lifestyle approach to the design of the building. So we've got two separate areas. Our project manager labeled it as one is party area and the other is a wellness side. So on the party side, we've got a swimming pool, and it's going to be like 4 feet deep with with an infinity edge waterfall, which is really cool. But it's a 4 foot deep pool, so you can play volleyball in there. They're gonna have like an outdoor barbecue area in that, with a fitness gym, like a traditional fitness room, with garage doors that open onto the space, with some turf outside. This is down south in Nashville, which is right now the hottest multifamily market. Um, so we're gonna may have some outdoor gym equipment there, outside, right next to the pool. Um, and we're separating the free weights from your from the machines, right? So you got kind of two different areas. Uh, we're going and we're adding a shower off of the pool, for people coming in and out. And on the other side of the hallway is what they're calling the wellness side. This would be like a riverfront pool, a second pool that's riverfront with a whole complex in there. We're doing an endless pool inside of the building. We're doing a yoga room that opens out onto about a 40 by 50 green courtyard on the roof with a view of the river. There's also a meditation space that they're putting in there, like a meditation room. We're doing kind of like a locker room. We're going to do showers, saunas, and we're also looking at doing we may or may not end up with a ice bath. There's Yeah, yeah, I think there was a little bit of concern from a liability perspective, not just cost, but also liability, that if someone's not using it right, it could be a little dangerous. Um, but the idea was that the saunas are attached to the bathroom, or attached to the bathroom, so you can go right in from the sauna to a cold shower, and vice versa. So it's a similar result. It's not going to be the same, but it's probably a little bit safer for, if it's a 450 unit building. So chances are you have someone chances are you have someone that doesn't know what they're doing, and they're going to jump in that ice bath, and they may do more harm than good.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, well, listen, I mean, I wouldn't even call it a trend nowadays. The whole fitness and wellness space. It's just a thing. As our general population is getting more and more adherent and coherent, I should say, when it comes to just overall fitness and wellness. I mean, community sounds amazing. If I was a single or bachelor, it kind of would be a spot maybe I'd be hot to try to go to. But yeah, no, that's sounds pretty interesting. Can't wait to see the final project when it's done. Um, so I want to kind of, the segues me into like my next question, if you would, like kind of like portraying to marketing, right? It's what we do at my company. I wanted to see if you could talk to us about maybe a time when like marketing played like a crucial role potentially like overcoming any like business challenges, or even like to amplify like success stories that you've had, even just seen on your LinkedIn from like previous designs and so forth.
Yeah, so it's kind of a tough one because marketing, we don't really do a whole lot of it, to be honest with you. It's we get a lot of our I get 5 or 6 requests a week for someone to reach out and do marketing for us, or redo your website and all that. And it's, we get most of our work word of mouth. We probably do one, I would say it's closer to one big project a year. And these are big projects. At my old firm, they're the size of buildings that we would have 5 or 6 people working on at one time. We talk about on our website, we kind of set it up that it's our projects are stories, and we're the storyteller, and the client is, they're hiring us to tell the story and write the book with them, and not, we're not just giving you a building; it's an experience.
Is there like one core belief that you have that is constant no matter what?
Business related, I would say that if you do what you enjoy for a living, you should be successful, because in my mind, my personal experience at least, if you're doing something you enjoy, you're going to put the time in to practice it. You're gonna put the time in, and you're probably gonna get pretty good at it. And that's really what it takes to succeed in business. And you're gonna put in the time and the overtime and the extra hours needed to succeed. If it's something that you don't enjoy, it's not as much of a guarantee. If you're just doing it for the money, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that statement. And then you hear a lot of people talk about this on podcasts, and anybody that I think has gotten to a certain place in their career, whether they're an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur, or maybe high C-level executive. I think greed, when people are greedy, and if you are greedy, that it kind of has the opposite effect. And people can smell that a mile away. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I agree with you on that. So I think maybe you've heard of this quote, maybe you haven't. I don't know. How you do anything is how you do everything. Do
Uh-huh.
you agree with that quote? And if not, why? Or if you do, why?
I agree with it. I would expand on it maybe and say, how, if you're not doing it that way, then your heart's not in it, and you probably shouldn't be doing it. I find myself a lot of times, if I'm doing something I really don't want to do it and my heart's not in it, it's not worth doing, right? It's that other quote of, something's worth doing, do it right. You
I love it. Like that's why I guess you don't do stand-up comedy anymore.
know. No.
No, just I figured I'd throw that in there. So that quote I just read to you happens to be like one of me personally, my all-time favorites. Um, I know you kind of just threw a quote out there, but do you have like any one or quotes that you kind of like eat, live, and breathe? Is there anything that like is prominent to you that stands out?
Well, so like I do have one, and then I was thinking, you know, uh, so for the rock star thing, I would say from Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other, right? You were talking about the karma and all that. But on a more serious note, one that I always took, I don't know if I took it the wrong way, but came from my grandfather, who I really, really looked up to as a role model, was he always said, "Happy is a moron." Yeah. Yeah, so it's and he never explained it to us. But I was 15 when he passed away. He was he's first generation American. He was a sign painter. He painted signs all over the city of Pittsburgh. And I always took it as, it's almost better to be simple minded. And he said, people that live a simpler life and don't overthink things are generally happier because they don't have all those worries. They don't overthink things. They don't have all the stress that comes along with being, I don't know if it's more intelligent necessarily, or just someone that overthinks things and over applies themselves. I think it's more of that, the simpler you live your life, the less focus you put on the small things, the better off you are, and the happier you are.
I love that you made mentioned with your grandfather. My grandfather was was one of my heroes. He was a father figure to me personally. My grandpa, he was here's a guy that was born in 1905. Passed away in 1998, so it made him about 93 years of age. I guess we kind of have like kind of a similar timeline. I was 17, I think, when my grandfather passed away, but he was like living with us, and here he is. Raised and born in the Bronx. Fought in World War II. Veteran, and yeah, he holds a high regard in my place. Grandparents, if we're lucky to spend time with them, throughout our lives. So I don't know if I wouldn't say I took it for granted necessarily back then, but you have a time to reflect, and you look back on it, and you're like, man, I was able to spend this time with this person, and they were just like amazing, and they had so much knowledge and wisdom to share. So when you have the ability, and I see it with my kids spending time with their grandparents, it's just an amazing relationship.
It is.
Yeah, yeah, it really is by far. Well, man, hey, listen, those are, I think I got through, the questions I was gonna, get through today on this week's episode with you, Brian. I really appreciate you taking the time to be a guest on the Fit for Business podcast, man.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. I hope it's useful to your listeners, and yeah.
Thank you for lending me your ears, and most importantly, your attention. This has been Fit for Business with me, Jared Lane.